Lindsey Epstein. I am a potter from Tiverton, Rhode Island, and welcome to my studio. In here, I make all different types of things from clay. I make functional dinnerware, I make raku horse sculpture, and I make crystalline glazed porcelain. Crystalline glazes are a special kind of glaze where a zinc crystal is actually grown on the piece during the firing process. And these things here that look like flowers or many different shapes are actually the zinc crystals. And they grow based on the chemistry of the glaze and how I fire the kiln. And that's really where the magic happens to get the crystals to form. So now I'm going to show you how I trim the pieces and then put a handle on it so that this will become a mug. This piece was thrown yesterday and left to dry a little bit overnight, covered with plastic so it didn't dry out too much. It's still fairly tacky, but it's not going to lose its shape once I go to trim it. Trimming is to work on the exterior profile of your piece. And I'm going to turn it upside down and put it on the wheel. And I want to make sure that it's kind of back in the center again. And it looks pretty good. And the clay is still tacky, but it's not hard. That will allow it so that I can attach a handle on afterwards. These little ribbons of clay will all get recycled and I'll be able to use them again. So I don't really need to do too much to trim up this mug. I got most of it to the shape I wanted while I was throwing. Now it's ready for a handle. So making the handle is definitely the part that takes the most practice to get the hang of. And I do a technique called a pulled handle. And I start off by making the general handle shape that I want by squeezing the clay through my fingers. And then I have to do a technique called slipping and scoring, which is basically making something like a Velcro little area, like these little scratches on the clay. And this is going to give the two pieces of clay something to stick to when they join together. The last thing that you want is a handle that pops off of your coffee mug. So I have these two areas scored, and I'm just going to press them together like that. Now I'm going to work this junction really well because again, I don't want the handle to pop off of the mug. I'm going to use my sponge, really make sure that seam is well blended together. Now you have something that looks funky like this, and I'm going to continue to pull the handle. And I keep switching sides so it stays balanced. Well, this takes a lot of practice to get the hang of. So I have it like this. Then I'm going to make one motion to flip it up and attach it. And make sure that it's really well attached. And there we have it, our mug. So once it's bone dry and all the moisture is out, that's going to get out just by sitting in room temperature, I'm going to put it in the kiln and bisque fire it to a little over 1900 degrees Fahrenheit. Then after that, it'll come out and I'll glaze it in whatever color I'm going to decide to glaze this mug. Then it'll go back in the kiln, be heated to a little over 2200 degrees Fahrenheit. Then it'll finally be ready for you to enjoy your first cup of coffee or tea or lemonade out of. Thank you so much for taking the time to stop by and see what I make here in Tiverton.